Hey guys, Todd here. Today we're going to install the EVOC Fender Flares from Havoc Offroad on our four-door Bronco. The tools we'll be using for this installation are a T30 Torx bit included in your kit, a bit holder, a ratchet with 7mm, 8mm, and 1/2-inch sockets, a 1/2-inch wrench, a number 2 Phillips head screwdriver, fastener removal tool, Sharpie, and scissors. Now make sure you're subscribed to our channel to stay up to date with all the latest content. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we're going to start out by prepping our flares. Now, this is one of our flares in our kit. They're actually labeled on the inside, right rear. This is the part that's going to go over top of the rear door on the passenger side. So there's a continuation that goes beyond that as well, and then a whole flare for the front. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to prep this one and just repeat the same process on the rest. So I'm going to show you, you'll notice we've got 2 bolts that are already in here. I've already done those. These come without the bolts in there in case you want to have these painted to match your vehicle first. So let me go ahead and show you how to install that bolt and also the edge trim. Just repeat the same on the rest. All right, so what we're going to do when we focus on this hole, we've got some hardware that we're provided in our kit. We've got a Torx bolt and a washer. Now, if this is a painted flare, you'll want to put the correct side of the washer down against the paint. So you'll notice this is a stamped washer, so you got kind of a little smooth side, and then the side that the stamping happens on that's a little rougher. You want the smooth side touching the paint if you've got a painted flare. But go ahead and throw the bolt through the washer and set that into the hole. And then on the back side, you're going to be provided with an M5 stainless steel serrated flange nut, and that's going to attach to that bolt and put it on there hand tight for right now. So I'm going to take my T30 Torx bit and fit it into the bolt, and then I'm going to tighten from the back. It's actually not really important with just the black flares, but if you have painted to match flares, you want to tighten from the back so you're not swirling into your paint on this side. So using the 8mm socket on this side, we're just going to snug that down, and there you go. That's how you install each one of those bolts. All right, next what we're going to do is focus on this edge right here. So this is where the edge trim is going to install. It just needs to install where this is going to be touching the painted surface of the vehicle. So if you look on the inside, this is where we're going to be adhering our taped edge trim to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of our included alcohol prep pads. I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to wipe down just the inside edge. This is the part that's not visible from the outside. Now, you've only got a couple of these in your kit, so I recommend doing them all at the same time. If it starts getting dry, you can just get some more isopropyl alcohol and rub down your flares with that. All right, now that the alcohol is dry, I'm going to go ahead and rotate this back around. Now, here is our edge trim. You're going to notice we've got some red vinyl backing that's on there that protects our adhesive. That red vinyl backing needs to adhere to the inside that we just wiped down with alcohol, so it's going to be installed just like so, but we want to go all the way up to here. So what we're going to do is peel back about 2 inches of the edge trim. All right, and then also kind of wrap it underneath like so that we can grab a hold of it and work it all the way to the end. What we're going to do is set that in place all the way to our edge, and then bear in to make it adhere to the inside of the flare. And then we're just going to work a little bit at a time and pull back the vinyl trim as we go. And I like to do just a few inches at a time. Some people do like a foot at a time, but it's just, to me, it seems a little more manageable to do it this way. All right, now what we're going to do is once you get that trimmed in place, go ahead and repeat the entire process for the edge trim and the bolts on the rest of the flares. Okay, now I've already got the factory flares removed from this Bronco. In fact, this Bronco has actually seen lots of trail time and it's had aftermarket flares on it already. So I can't show you how to remove the factory flares, but it's super easy. There's just basically 5 little levers. You turn those levers, you give it a nice tug, it comes right off. All 4 of your fender flares from the factory are just like that. Now, you'll also have to remove a little bit of factory hardware, so let me go ahead and show you what to do next. Okay, now like I mentioned before, we've had other aftermarket fender flares on this particular Bronco. So I don't have all of the factory hardware that needs to be removed, but I will show you what you will need to be removing. So right here, I do have a factory screw that goes up into this fiber liner. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that with a Phillips head screwdriver. All right, now that that's out, I can push up on this liner. We're going to need to be accessing these holes right here, so that liner needs to be out of the way so we can access those bolts. We've also got a spot right here where we need to remove a factory screw, and one from right over here as well. That way we can get back up in there and put a nut behind these holes. Next, we've also got 3 plastic fasteners to remove. So one would be right here. We've also got a couple of spots up here that would have plastic fasteners. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this one here. All right, there we go. And now I can access these holes back here. All right, now we can go ahead and fasten our mounting bracket. Now, before we do this, I'm going to go ahead and flip this over and show you the RF that's stamped right here. That stands for right front. So these are specific to which corner they're going to be going on. Also, I do want to point out, this does not span the entire wheel well. This actually is going to end about here, and it's just going to line up to some factory holes. So before you just mount it, I also want to turn your attention to these 6 U-clips. Now you want to make sure that these U-clips that are pre-installed are lined up and centered on the holes that they are covering up. So basically you need some number 10 screws to be able to go through and then thread into the U-clips. So you want to have a threaded part of the U-clip to the inside. So if they came out, or if they're misaligned, just go ahead and flip it around, make sure it's aligned properly so it goes through. Also, we want to make sure it's centered on that hole so you don't have anything that's obstructing that screw from going through. So like this one down here, we just want to move that to where it is aligned with the hole. And now we can go ahead and set it in place. Now I'm going to start with this hole right here. In our kit, we're going to have a washer and a bolt that we're going to go through that hole. And then from the other side, we're going to install a flat washer and then a nylock nut. And just get it finger tight for right now. Once it hits that nylock, you won't be able to go any further by hand. And now that it's held in place, we can go ahead and line up our other 4 bolt assemblies. All right, so bolt and washer, go through the hole. Flat washer and nylock nut on the back. All right, now we're going to go ahead and tighten up this hardware. I've already got a 1/2 inch wrench holding on to the nylock nut in the back. I'm going to use a 1/2 inch socket to tighten that up. All right, so now we're back underneath the fender, right underneath where our mounting bracket that we just installed is located. Now is when we are going to reinstall our factory screws. I'm going to install the one that I have. Go ahead and install all of them. All right, now we can go ahead and mount our flare. The 6 recessed holes in the pockets are going to line up to our 6 U-clips. And these 3 holes here are going to line up to our 3 factory holes in the fender. So go ahead and get this lined up. All right, now for our 3 holes that line up to the fender, we're going to use the fasteners that came out from the factory, and we're just going to put those back through. I'm just getting them started for right now. I didn't have all my fasteners, so I went out and I got another Christmas tree fastener out of a kit. You can get these things anywhere. All right, now that we've got our Christmas tree fasteners loosely installed, we're going to go ahead and line up our number 10 bolts to these fasteners. And we're just going to loosely put those in for right now. You want to get everything loosely installed before you tighten anything down. That way you're not installing onto a bind. All right, now that I've got all 6 screws lined up, we're going to go ahead and tighten down the screws using a Phillips head screwdriver. And now we can go ahead and push in the fasteners the rest of the way. All right, let's go ahead and move to the rear. Okay, now here we are at the rear fender. The rear fender is going to go on in two pieces. So we got the back piece and then we'll do the front piece. First, we're going to notice that we've got 3 bolts. We're going to pull those out with a 10mm. Make sure you hold on to these as well. We're going to be reusing them. Okay, so here is our right rear mounting bracket, and it is labeled right rear. So make sure you've got the correct one. And now this process is going to be pretty much just like the front bracket. What we're going to do is line it up to those factory holes. We're going to use these factory bolts and go ahead and get those lined up first. And once all 3 factory bolts are lined up, go ahead and line up the push pin that's included in our kit. Just go ahead and fit that in place. And then we can go ahead and tighten down all of our factory bolts using the 10mm. Careful in these edges here, they're kind of sharp. All right, and make sure that our push pin is flat up against the fender, and go ahead and push it in. All right, now we can go ahead and mount our right rear fender flare. Now this is the longer of our 2 right rears. This goes over the fender, not over the door. We're going to line it up. I like to line up this hole right here first and get the number 10 screw installed. Just get it in there finger tight for right now, just like what we did before. You want to make sure you get all screws in finger tight before you tighten anything down with the screwdriver. All right, now we've got all of the bolts lined up. Let's go ahead and tighten them down with a Phillips head screwdriver. All right, and the last one. All right, now for the door trim piece, I've already gone ahead and wiped down this surface with isopropyl alcohol. Here's our door trim piece. Now this is a mirror image of the part that's going to be used on the driver's side. So what we want to do is kind of dry fit it in place so we can see exactly where it's going to go. Now we can kind of pull it back and turn it around. Our red vinyl tape protector, we want to trim back a little bit on each side, or just peel back a little bit. All right, now we are going to set it in place. Make sure you have it where you want it before you press in, and then just start peeling it away. Now you want to press in with some good pressure to get good adhesion. Okay, next you're going to find this piece out of the kit. These are also side specific, so this is going to be marked RR for right rear. And you're going to line this up on the outside of the door. I've got the passenger side rear door open. So line it up to the outside of the door so that these tape pieces just kind of brush against the outside. You want to make sure that it's lined up with that and that this surface of this bracket is about 1/4 inch in from the edge of the door. So let me bring it up to about 1/4 inch. Once it's in place there, you're going to notice we've got 3 holes. So what we're going to do is mark directly above those holes and we can go ahead and pull our bracket away. All right, now at our marked locations, what we're going to do is take our 3M protective tape out of our kit. And for each one of those locations, we're going to take a piece and put it kind of right in the middle and wrap it over. Half going to this side, half going to this side. Do that with all 3 of those locations. Okay, now for each one of these points here where we've marked and put the tape over top, I'm going to show you how these clamping clips work. So this is what our clamping clip looks like. If you notice, it's got like a little bit of a shelf right there. That needs to go right over the door jamb. Also make sure that is centered right over the center of the clamping clip. Next, what we'll want to do is take this portion of the clamping clip. You've got the 2 bumps that are going to face that way, and then where the threads are needs to face this way towards you. Go ahead and slide that in and rotate that over. Now to set that clamping clip in place, we're going to take one of our short screws. We're going to go through the clip and take our Phillips head screwdriver. We're going to turn it until we hear it click. All right, once you hear it click, you can go ahead and back the screw back out. You're going to repeat the same steps for the next 2 clips. All right, now what we're going to do is go ahead and line up our holes from the piece to our clips. Now you'll notice we've got the vinyl back adhesive protector. I've already wiped down this surface of the door with rubbing alcohol. So I'm going to go ahead and peel away this one here. Now we're going to line that up and use our short screws. All right, once you get the screws lined up, get them driven in, finish peeling away the tape. I'm going to get this one lined up, get it started. All right, we can go ahead and snug the screws down, apply pressure on the other side of the tape to get that properly seated. And now we can move on. All right, now we can take our right rear door piece and go ahead and get that lined up to the holes. I'm going to start with this one here and put the screw in place. Again, we're just putting this in finger tight for right now. And I'm going to work my way down. All right, now we got all the screws started. We're going to go ahead and tighten it down using the Phillips head screwdriver. All right, now we can go back and double check all of our gaskets, make sure everything is upright and not rolled back. If you do have anything rolled back, we've provided this tool in the kit. Basically what you can do is kind of peel that back a little bit and hook that behind the gasket and then roll that down, and that will pull anything out that is rolled back behind. Now just repeat the same steps on the opposite side, and that concludes the installation. If you found this video helpful, make sure and give us a thumbs up. If you want to know more about the product, check the link in the description below. And as always, if you have any questions, call the experts or visit us online at RealTruck.com.